I think one of my favorite things in boat restoring is actually doing the wood. I don't like the process of doing it, but I just think it transforms it into something else. It's like an example of what the whole boat could be. Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to Motor City Boat Werks. Let's get to work. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you, and if you're one of our returning subscribers, welcome back to the works. I especially want to welcome the workers, those of you who have decided to support the channel through Patreon. Thanks so much. As you may know, one of the boats I'm working on in the boat works is the 1983 Skipper 20 sailboat. It's a salty little sailboat, and I'm going to be doing a pilot house conversion on it. I've got a list of projects that I need to work through as I turn this boat into something a little bit more than it was before. This episode is going to be about crafting some wooden companionway steps to get down into the boat. One of the things that I noticed when I was going through that boat was that it was missing a set of companionway stairs. There were no stairs to get down into the boat. And it's a good 2.5 feet to get down inside there. There really needs to be a set of teak stairs. And in fact, from the factory, they came with this set of teak stairs. And I have been asking around, hey, where do I get a pair of these teak stairs? Can I make a pair of teak stairs? People suggested different things. I decided to make a trip to Earl the Pearl Marine Sales and Repair in Harrison Township. If you've been watching my show, you've seen the episode about the secret treasure house of boat parts that's here outside Detroit. It's run by my friend Earl the Pearl Stilson, and he has 14,000 square feet of old boat parts and engine parts for rare boats kind of hidden away inside his warehouse. I took a stop over there. I ran into Annette and Scott, and lo and behold, what did I find but a pair of teak stairs that will fit inside the little pocket sailboat. Now, these are not from the Skipper 20. They're not Skipper 20 stairs. They're from some other boat, probably. But we're going to see whether or not they fit inside the boat. Can I modify them or maybe do something to them to kind of, have these things be the steps inside the boat? Come closer here, take a look. They're actually in pretty good shape here. It's a little wobbly here, but I think with a little bit of carpentry and some epoxy, some glue, I think we can tighten this up and make them, something that will work quite well. The question is whether they'll fit inside the sailboat. Today I'm in the art studio. It's about 18 degrees outside. And I realized that I really need to get some other projects kind of up and running so that I can take advantage of the weather on certain days. And when it's not so great outside or it's too cold in the shop, I can just come inside and have something to be working on. I like to have a lot of projects going at the same time. It just kind of keeps everything fresh and allows you to make the best use of your time. So today I'm going to be working on these steps, the stairs that I have for the Skipper 20 sailboat project. Got a great deal on them, $20-30. They're in good shape. They are just worn, they need some tender loving care done to them. They're a little rickety here. Let's see if we can see they move a little bit. They're wobbly. One of the reasons I wanted to cover this topic in an episode is because I think it's a fairly common project. The companionway steps in old sailboats, well, they often get loose or they become damaged. They're often exposed to the elements and they get a lot of wear and tear. One of my fundamental rules of amateur boat building and boat restoration is to try and use old parts that came with the boat. In this case, parts from another boat that we might be able to restore and breathe a little new life into. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill out these bungs here, these teak plugs, get access to the screws that go to the wood here. We'll take those out and then we'll kind of take a look at everything. We're going to end up sanding this whole thing. We'll put it back together probably with some epoxy. Here's a great example of a bung. We might be able to pop this out just using a pick and pop this thing out so we can expose it. Let's see what we can do here. How do you remove a teak bung? You got to get the plug out of the hole. A lot of times these are glued in place and they will not come out. But look at that. Sometimes they'll break due to age. You get the bung out. This is the teak bung. And down inside here is the actual screw head. The trick is getting it exposed so that you can get a screwdriver on it. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it? Look at that. Alright, so now we get our nice screwdriver on here. Very carefully, very slowly so you don't strip it. Unscrew it. Wow, that came out pretty easy. We got lucky on that one. Now, this is going to be some type of a bronze screw, a bronze carpenter screw. They're often used in the marine industry. I wish they all look like that, but generally speaking, they don't. A lot of times they'll look like this. That's totally damaged. You can't get anything inside there. Now, it can be tempting when you're trying to remove these teak bungs to, immediately grab your countersink bit and just get in there and start grinding and drilling and reaming that thing out to get access to the head of the screw. But I'm going to tell you, don't do that. If you use some type of a countersink bit trying to get inside there, you're just going to end up damaging the head of the screw, and then you've got a different problem. Motor City Boat Werks has no sponsors. I get no compensation from any of the products or the items that I talk about on my channel. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Spread the word about Motor City Boat Werks. How do you remove a screw when the screw head is stripped? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how this works. So the idea is you've got to remove the teak plug, what we call a bung, right? You got to get the teak bung out of the way. It exposes the screw head, and then you can get a screwdriver onto the screw head to try and get it out. But sometimes, either due to age or when you're trying to remove the teak bung, you will damage the face of the screw, and now your screwdriver might not have anything to grab onto. So what do? This is where you need a special tool, a special bit that you're going to use in your drill. I call it the extractor. The one that I've been using for years is a product called Speed Out. The bits look like this. They come in different sizes. One side of the bit is designed to drill a hole in the screw head, and the other side of the same bit is designed to then extract the screw because it kind of grabs on and helps twist the screw and bring it out. The trick is to use these bits at a very low RPM, very low speed in your drill, as soft a touch as possible. It does work. It requires a little bit of finesse and a little bit of technique, getting used to how it works. Sometimes the screws themselves are just deteriorated from age or water damage, and they literally come apart. There's nothing you can do, and you may have to take more drastic steps of basically destroying the wood around it in order to get in there and somehow grab a hold of it and pull it apart. But luckily, in this case, we've been making some pretty good progress. I was able to extract these 3 screws. You can see the heads, see how damaged they are. This can be one of the most challenging things when you're working on an old sailboat. A lot of teak, a lot of old fasteners. You're trying to take wood apart. You know that you can refinish it, put it back together. If you could just get it apart and kind of repair the fittings, sometimes it just doesn't cooperate. I have destroyed many fine pieces of teak furniture, cabinets, or what have you, trying to get them apart, and the fasteners just completely disintegrate on me, creating a mess. You want to have with you, some of the tools and develop some of the techniques to be able to do this sort of thing if you're working on a classic boat. Once everything is apart and the pieces are sanded, it's time to put it back together and make it nice and tight. I'm going to be screwing them together, but I want to put a little bit of epoxy in the joints there just to kind of reduce any movement and hopefully make it one piece. I think I could use glue, wood glue, but I like the idea of using the epoxy. I think it's going to need it over time. We don't want to use a lot, just a little bit. The screws will do most of the work. And I want to be able to grab onto this if I have to and not maybe get fingerprints and stuff on it. So we'll see kind of how it goes here. Now, I haven't really shown it, but everything has been dry fitted already. I'm using slightly larger bronze screws to ensure that the stairs can be pulled tight. It's always a good idea to start with new, fresh fasteners. I purchase all my fasteners online from boltdepot.com. Before I put the Cetol on, start refinishing the wood, probably we'll put the bungs in. Bungs are little pieces of wood that go inside these holes here. They kind of cover that up. Bungs are an extra detail that can really make your boat restoration project look a little more professional. You can buy these bungs, these teak plugs, in a variety of sizes. You can even cut them on your own using a special drill bit. If you look at the bungs closely, you'll notice that they're almost tapered. One end's a little smaller than the other. That's the one that goes down in the hole, and then you use a mallet to gently tap it into place. I like to install my teak bungs using a wood glue. That way, in case you ever have to get the plugs out in the future, well, it'll be easy to do. I've gone ahead and I sanded everything. We put in new bronze screws that are a little bit oversized to kind of pull everything tight. We've glued and epoxied the joints. We've now put in the teak bungs to cover up the screw holes here. And the last step is to kind of take these off, get it flush. Just like that. Just like that. It's a very light touch. Even though it's still kind of raised a little bit, that's okay, because when we sand this, that'll bring it down totally flush. When you sand it down, if you get it perfectly flush, then it'll be looking just a nice round circle. Refinishing the stairs is fairly straightforward. It's a simple process, but takes a little bit of time. Be sure to watch my video on restoring sailboat teak. I think one of my favorite things in boat restoring is actually doing the wood. I don't like the process of doing it, but I just think it transforms it into something else when you get it all cleaned up and a new finish on it. It's like an example of what the whole boat could be. Now, we're not quite done yet. There's a few more details that have to be done in order to finish out these sailboat stairs. The first item is I have to come up with some sort of tread to put on the top of the stairs so that it's not too slippery. Sikkens Cetol Marine can get a little slick, especially when you use the glossy top coat. Over the years, I've found some of the best tread to be shower strips that you use in your bathroom. They have a really good adhesive and they're soft underfoot. They last a long time. And when they finally go bad, you just pull them off and you can put on new ones. The final detail is we have to figure out how to hold the stairs in place when they're mounted back inside the sailboat. To do this, I purchased some stainless steel barrel bolts. Now, I'm only using one side of the barrel bolt, the side that will actually stick into the wood and kind of lock it in place. This is the time to make sure everything fits really tight. You don't want this to be wobbly. You don't want there to be any play or movement in the stairs. It's taken a lot of steps and a lot of effort to get to this point, but I gotta say, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think that project turned out really well. We're making some progress on the sailboat to-do list. Next up, we'll be installing some cockpit lockers inside the Skipper 20. If you're interested in another great project for the do-it-yourselfer, be sure to check out my episode on how I built a cockpit dining table for my pocket trawler. You're gonna love it. I want to thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Stay motivated.